Regarding item 13, which is plan change 14 decision. And in part, and maybe proposed withdrawal. Is anyone else want to do anything? No? All good? Yes. Right. So now we're getting into the monthly report from community boards. Now, before I start, I'd like to have some remarks for Emma and Callum. Before we go into public participation, we'll hear from our community boards, but first, it is my absolute privilege this morning to recognise two of our community board members who have decided to step away from local government election cycle, but who have both been such an important part of our work here at Council. So today, I just want to take a few secs to acknowledge them. Emma Norrish is taking her leave after 12 years with Council. She was first elected as a community board member for Papanui and leaves an enduring and positive legacy in the Waipapa Inner Central Ward, particularly given her service over the last 2 terms as board chair. Emma's leadership has been driven by a tireless commitment to her community, evidenced by countless meetings, events and working bees. Her warmth and integrity have also been hugely appreciated. And at a recent community Huey, residents expressed their heartfelt thanks for her service, support and lasting difference she's made. Callum Ward, who is also stepping aside, and as we wish him farewell, I want to acknowledge and thank him for his time as chair of Waihoro, Spraid and Cashmere Heathcote Community Board. Callum was elected to the board in 2019 and has served as chair since 2022. He has shown a real commitment through leadership and genuine passion for community he serves. He's been focused on fostering collaboration and advocating for local needs. Callum really has had an impact on the board and wider community, putting a huge amount of hard work and integrity into the job. So Emma and Callum, we wish you both all the best for whatever the future holds, and thank you once again for your outstanding contributions, and I think we will all agree that since they've made the decision that they both look 5 years younger. So congratulations, wherever you are. Do you want to do one for him? Oh. Something I can do. And so now we will hear from Papanui Inner Central and bring Emma back up to the table along with Simon, please.
Kia ora koutou. First up, thank you very much for those kind words, Phil. It's been an honour to represent the Papanui Inner Central Community Board for the last 12 years, and I've appreciated the work you guys have done for our area, so thank you very much to all around this table and all the staff as well. First up, we're just going to be doing our usual monthly presentation on what's been happening in our Waipapa Papanui Inner Central Community Board area. So we'll start off at our August meeting. We had report backs from 2 extremely talented young people on their trips to the Korfball Club Championships in Australia and the World University Games in Germany. The board heard deputations on the Ferry Road Active Transport Improvement and the Momorangi Reserve Play Space Renewal Concept Plan before considering and eventually approving both of these plans. It's great to have students from St Bede's College involved with the Momorangi Reserve project. They've designed an accessible picnic table, which you can see there, which they will now manufacture for the park, which neighbours their school.
Commissioning of the signalised pedestrian and cyclist crossings at Harewood, Langdons and Sawyers Arms roads has been completed, including automatic gates at the Harewood and Langdons crossings. Oh, hooray. Sorry, my clicker's stopped clicking. Can we get the next slide, please?
So new signage has gone up at Avebury House in Richmond, highlighting the new partnership between the Canterbury Horticultural Society and Avebury House to reinvent Avebury's back garden as a climate resilience exemplar. Planting is underway for the ornamental garden, which will showcase a wide variety of plants that are resilient to Christchurch's changing climate. You can check out the signage and the planting progress when you head along to the Avebury House Spring Fair on Saturday 18th of October.
Delta Community Support Trust support older adults, people with disabilities and those facing hardship based in the Richmond area. The Trust recently held a midwinter Christmas lunch, which you can see pictured there, and I had the pleasure of attending their 30-year celebration in August, and it was great to see programs in action on that day and hear from volunteers, current and long serving, and some of their founding staff as well.
We had a good turnout of representatives from local community groups at our latest community liaison hui. We were hosted in the beautifully restored chapel at Te Oroho o Tatahi and heard what our local groups have been up to and about the challenges they're currently facing. A number of them spoke about their concerns and uncertainty around funding in the current environment and reflected on the challenges those in their communities are facing.
Oh dear. There we go. We recently hosted principals from across our board area for a breakfast meeting with a presentation on play in schools from Kia Kori Waitaha.
And then finally, just a quick update on a couple of our local parks. Olivia's Reserve had some maintenance work and weeding done at a working bee with the local ranger, and Rutland Reserve had around 600 natives planted in the wetland area by the Vanuatu community. A gifted kakakatea tree which the community brought was planted as a commemorative tree to honour their language being added into the Ministry of Pacific Peoples Language Week series. That's all from us.
Kia ora, you two. Amazing work, Emma, by the way. Thank you so much for your service, and I really appreciate everything that you've done for the community. And same goes to you too, Simon, because you've been going pretty hard with our young people in Papua Nui. I just wanted to ask about the principals catch-ups. That's something that's really interesting for me, particularly around understanding the views of actually schools and people who are out there. Would you be able to give me an insight as to how that works and what that looks like?
So we aim to do it once every school term. We invite all the principals from all of the local schools in our board area. You often will try and get a guest speaker along, something that's going to interest them. A popular one has been when we've managed to get the police along. They have asked for that to become a regular thing as well. Just connecting them with the board and sort of wider things happening in the community. It's really a good opportunity to hear from them around their concerns, what they're experiencing and all that.
Thank you
Thanks
very much. Good work. So thank you, Simon, and congratulations once again, Emma. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we have Horsell, Hornby, Riccarton. We've got Marie and Helen here, please.
Thanks. Thank you.
Kia ora. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to present the final report for this term of the Waipuna Holswell Hornby Riccarton Community Board. Helen.
Thank you. The first item is the Riccarton tool shed opening that happened yesterday. The Riccarton shed has now officially opened, located within the Riccarton Baptist Church complex. The project was initiated by Oak Development Trust and will eventually offer more than 200 tools and household items for members to borrow for personal use. Okay. I'm on the next one, aren't I? Riccarton Community Garden and
Next slide, please.
Yep.
The Riccarton Community Garden and Pātaka Trust held a mid-year hui to honour Nick and Loretta Te Pā and their volunteers at the Wharanui School. Thank you.
The Greater Hornby Residents Association hosted a vibrant glow disco at Hornby Primary School, which was a hit with the Tamariki. And then the Community Service and Youth Service Awards are a way of thanking and honoring volunteers who demonstrate dedication and passion, inspiring others to make service a central part of their lives. The board for this year presented 9 Community Service Awards and 3 Youth Service Awards at various community gatherings. Now, the Upper Riccarton War Memorial Park was officially opened just over 2 weeks ago on August 16th. It replaces the former War Memorial Library, which was demolished due to structural issues and limited volunteer capacity. The park features interpretive panels and historical items that honor soldiers who lost their lives in World War I and World War II, commemorates the site's history as the first of 7 war memorial libraries built in New Zealand, and acknowledges the contributions of the volunteers who worked there. The park includes a picnic table, park benches, a plant climbing frame, a water fountain, the refurbished library sign, the original library book slot, a wall built from stone that once clad the library, brick paving also salvaged from the library, and the library's original foundation stone. Now, if you happen to wander around Upper Riccarton, please make sure to visit and check out that amazing mural on the west wall of the park. Mm-hmm. Now, that wraps up our report. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you, Mayor Phil, and councillors, the ELT and staff, for the opportunity to present our final board report for this term. It has been an honor to serve and collaborate with you in advancing our shared goals. I am proud of the progress we have made together and deeply appreciative of your continued support, engagement, and commitment throughout this term, especially since I have been chair of this community board over the past 16 months. I want to express my sincere gratitude for the trust you have placed in me and the work we have accomplished as a team. Maraming salamat po. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Marie and Helen. And I must say, going to the War Memorial Park is outstanding. It's very, very well built. So well done. Thank you.
Okay.
You go, Yanni. Yeah.
I just wanted to echo it as someone who was sad to see the library be demolished, but I just wanted to commend you for what you've put in its place. I too have had really positive feedback about it. So thank you to all those that worked on that.
Yep, well done. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so now we have Coastal Burwood Linwood, and it'll be Jackie and I dare say Christopher. Good to see you again, mate.
So just a wee chair problem, sorry. Chair problem. It might be a deputy. Well, I am lower than the chair, so absolutely. Morena, everyone. I bring sincere apologies from our board chair, Paul McMahon, who would absolutely love to be here today. I also want to commend Paul for being an absolutely awesome chair and thank him for his work in the last 3 years. I'd also like to thank our governance team. We have an amazing group of people that we've got to work with on staff, and I can't actually have a final presentation here without thanking Chris and Cindy and all of our team at Waikato. They're just absolutely brilliant. Okay, on to our report. We're going to go through this fairly quickly. The Smith Street Garden is going from strength to strength. They've had a workshop, but if you go online, have a look. The work that's being done is great. The Super Grands are also doing a great job. See, I'm going through this quite quickly. We've got some other stuff to talk about. And we've put a bridge over the river, as you probably know. So Paul, of course, being the dedicated chair that he is, has given me some stuff that he would like me to share with you. which may have something to do with what's on the board or may not. I'd like to just start with be prepared for a petition coming from residents out by Bottle Lake against the Rolling Meadows dance party out there. I think we need to have a good look at that, so I'll leave that with you. And also, you've got a flooding plan thing that seems to overlook the Heathcote River in Woolston, so I'd like you to look at that as well. Now, from Paul, it gets a little bit more dicey. Okay. We're not allowed to tell you what we've done well this last term, but we are going to tell you what the incoming board and incoming council may need to be looking at for Christchurch East. So we need reliable infrastructure, safe roads, footpaths and rubbish collected, libraries and pools that are open, accessible and affordable. The organics plant needs to close. I won't go into that, we know. We need to drive the regeneration around Eastgate, include turning the old Smith Street's depot into something that serves the community instead of sitting idle. That's a building that can be used for our community. We need to roll out the $5 million for improving Bromley roads to make life easier for the people of Bromley. We need to ensure that the board advocates strongly for public ownership of council assets and retains the jobs that they provide. We need to continue the Weaving the East project alongside the Linwood Regeneration project to improve everything for our communities in Linwood. We need to ensure that the council does not pull back from partnering with the community organisations that are doing so much good work. We need to ensure that the library and pool hours are not cut. And we need to push forward with the plan changes where possible to protect communities on the industrial interface. And we need to get on to NZTA about removing the fence on Dyers Road and putting traffic lights on the corner of Dyers Road and Maces Road to stop trucks going down our residential streets. And just finally, one from me is I want you to put people first. Always put people first and start doing with them and not to them. There's a lot of things coming up, especially going into the Linwood area, where you will be making a decision that affects them without actually talking to them, and that's not going to go down well either. So I hope to be back again. And I know that all of you are looking forward to having me back again, except maybe Aaron or one or two others. But I'd love to come back and sit in this chair again. So that's it from me. Thanks.
Yep. And time for one question from Celeste. Thank you.
Thank you, and very good summary. And also thanks to staff who've done a fantastic job. I know it's not easy. You mentioned roads and footpaths and things like that. And it's good to see there's some funding on budget for Bromley, but other parts of the joint board area, what's the sentiment? Because I have observed that people are pretty frustrated still, that there's not enough funding going into fixing some of that stuff.
There was a lot of funding targeted going into the Linwood ward and also into coastal that was pulled by the government, a lot of surf funding and things like that. So a lot of our projects were put back. There is still an awful lot of work to do on infrastructure in the east, and our people do see it as not happening. We see it as happening slower than we would like, but when it's slower than we would like, people don't actually see what's happening. So there is a case for upping that if you want your council stats to reflect that they're happier.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you very much. Good to see you both.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Banks Peninsula. We've got Lynn and Penelope, I believe. Yes.
Hi, Sam. Are you sure? Yeah. Morning, everybody. Kia ora koutou. Thanks for the opportunity to present today. My voice is hanging in there, but if I start to crack and all that, it's just I'm recovering from bronchitis. So there we go. So we understand that Council will soon be deciding on the next focus area for coastal hazard adaptation planning. Very exciting. On behalf of our community, I'd like to put forward the case for Akaroa and the bays to be prioritised. The impact for climate change is already influencing local decisions out there. For example, when considering potential future use options for BP meats, the community supported including managed retention, especially because we are waiting on the coastal hazard process to guide long-term choices. Akaroa and the bays cover a vast stretch of land and coastline with multiple marine structures that play a very crucial role in accessibility, particularly during emergencies. Likewise, our roading network is incredibly vulnerable. During the May storm, several communities had no road access for days, and with so many of our residents living close to the coast, inundation risks are a real and urgent concern. The mapping before you here shows the scenario of a 20 centimetre sea level rise in just 25 years, layered over a severe weather event like we recently experienced. The flooding shown is extensive, impacting property, businesses, State Highway 75, and isolating communities both in the inner and outer bays. Another growing issue is rising groundwater. This will put buried infrastructure at risk and lead to more frequent wastewater overflows. We need to understand this better. Given the knowledge already built up through the Whakaraupo planning process, Littleton Harbour, and strong community appetite to participate, it makes sense to continue the momentum by focusing the coastal hazards teamwork on Banks Peninsula. Turning now to flooding. Our board recently heard an update on flooding modelling in Little River Village. Important to note the location. This is just dealing with the village at this stage, the area that you can see in the photo there. Obviously the flooding impacts many areas, the road, around the lake and whatnot, but we need to focus on this area and then hopefully we'll be able to then replicate our process as we go. Where I'm up to. Based on the May weather event, these slides from ECAN highlight an important finding. The worst flooding occurred very, very quickly, just after the Hukahuka River peaked, well before Te Rotua Warewa Lake Forsyth reached its highest level. By the following afternoon, flooding in the village had gone down a lot, mostly gone, even though the lake was at the peak. So what this shows is that flooding happens even though the lake isn't particularly full at that point. So there's many different areas that we need to focus on when we're talking about mitigation in this area. And the Flooding Roundtable group is broken up into different groups to address those different concerns so that we can understand it better and then look at where we can mitigate. And it's working really well. We've got lots of different stakeholders involved, including New Zealand Transport, Runanga, our City Council, ECAN, all there at the table. Improving drainage and outflow capacity out of the village is therefore central to reducing flood impacts there in the village. More modelling work is underway, but this insight is a valuable step forward. Finally, as this is the last update of the term, I'd like to say how much I've appreciated working with you all at the Council over this term. While our challenges are significant, I have found real value in the collaborative nature of how the Council works. Staff, councillors, elected members, and then community. It's been very encouraging to see how we all work together. It's been a real privilege to represent my community in this space. All the best for the election season, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Right, we have, Tyrone, please, one question.
Yeah, I'll limit it to one, and thank you, Lynn, for the way you've chaired the board this term, and I'm glad that you'll be there
I'll be
after
back,
the election.
Yeah.
So just on the coastal hazards adaptation stuff. So you sort of mentioned like the BP meat site, and so for my colleagues, basically that's a huge section of public land that's behind what is the Akaroa butchery. So just to help clarify that. But what I think I understand from what you said is that effectively, because that's sort of going through a consultation process at the moment, that and other projects would be effectively kind of roadblocked if we can't get this coastal hazards adaptation stuff done for Akaroa. Is that what there would be kind of a blockage to prevent other projects moving ahead. That's kind of how I would understand it. Is that true?
I think the more information that we have about what we need for the future, then those local decisions that impact the future, we would be able to cater better for. Great. Thanks, team.
Thank you very much. Good to see you again. Okay, Callum, please.
Tēnā koutou. It's good to be back, final time. So our presentation today, have you got the clicker? Cool. There we go. We'll crack into it. So first thing I want to talk to you today about is the part A that sits before you in your agenda, which is the Strickland Street, Summerfield Street safety improvements. So this is one that was passed unanimously by the board. It's essentially that the council approves 2 cycle lanes on Strickland and Summerfield Street and makes some changes to the structure of that street to improve cycle and pedestrian safety. It's a key transport corridor between the city and the suburbs, and we see that these changes will enhance the usability of these roads. The board was unanimous. I think we're really impressed with the work that staff have done in terms of consulting with the community and the local businesses, and particularly Moon Underwater, where most of the changes are sort of taking place around, have worked really closely with staff. It is one of those really, really tricky intersections. There's not much you can do to make it totally safe without bowling some buildings and spending millions of dollars to totally restructure it. So I think staff have done a really good job with the challenges they have. And you're not going to pretend as well that the community is totally in agreement with the changes on the table, but I think that staff have achieved a really good balance, and what we're seeing is going to massively improve safety for cyclists without impacting local businesses as much as possible. Next up, we've got the South Library update. So I think this is kind of a standard for a Spray and Cashmere Community Board presentation. We've got to mention the library. We had a site visit on the 21st of August, so some of our board members were able to observe that progress firsthand on site. The first concrete pour is complete. I think there's a second one scheduled for later in the month, and the structural steel is starting to go up. And they're in the process of repurposing some of the old material from the previous library, including joinery and furniture and carpet tiles for use in the local community, and there'll be some of the materials also will be being reused on the new building itself as well. Next up, we've got What's Up Waltham. So this is a continuation of the program that we have talked about, which you may have heard of, which was called Kia Ora Addington. So we're basically rolling out a similar program in Waltham, the project was activated in Waltham with what they call a local community weaver. So that's metaphorically speaking, not literally a weaver on the ground. They were sort of engaging with local residents, schools and organisations to get a feel of the community and understand its wants and needs. This is a really cool approach to neighbourhood building, which is it's much more flexible than some traditional models that you see through DIA, and we've found really, really good results that funding relationship first rather than specific outcomes is a much more flexible way to approach community development. But I'm keen to talk about that in more detail with anyone who's interested. Finally, Te Wairinga Whakatoa Pū Awai Charitable Trust. So this is a community group formerly known as the Addington Farm. They've just secured the lease for the Addington Park, and they're preparing and planning for the activity that they're going to do there, which will be establishing a garden for the local community to grow and tend, and activating that space so it's much more hospitable and less of a dark corner of the community. Finally, community emergency preparedness hubs. So communities have been supported to undertake preparedness planning for natural disasters. We've been granting funds to the Cashmere Residents Emergency Support, among other things, and Sumner Community Residents Association and Hub for their Sumner response plan. So just with the time left, I'd like to say this is obviously my last board presentation, and I really want to express gratitude in the main. I am enormously grateful, firstly to my colleagues around the board table. We've had a really, I think, positive, constructive and successful term, and it's been, not without disagreements, but I think we've been able to resolve those professionally and in the best interest of the community. So you've made my job easy as chair, that's for sure. Huge thanks to board staff represented by Emma, but of course there's many more who've given us invaluable support and enabled me to be successful. I definitely none of us could do the jobs we do without the support of staff, and that goes as well for the wider council staff, who I've been invariably impressed with. I think council staff do an amazing job and are dedicated, hardworking people who have a deep knowledge and passion for their community. So, I really appreciate the experience I've had, and I'm sorry to say farewell.
Thank you very much. So thank you, Emma, and congratulations once again, Callum, and I'm sure our paths will cross one day in the future, and don't be a stranger.
Thanks, Phil.
Good on you, mate. Okay, so now we're down to Fendleton, Waimari, Harewood, which is Jason and Marianne, please.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
The plantings along the banks of the Olam stream through Avonhead Park and Crosby Park have now been completed, marking a significant milestone in efforts to bring our stream back to life. Members of the network of Olam Stream have long championed the enhancement of the stream and its surroundings, consulting with neighbours, local groups, sports clubs, businesses and Christchurch City Council. Contractors have now planted approximately 500 metres of riparian margin at Crosby Park and completed infill planting across 350 metres of stream bank at Avonhead Park. Alongside this work, the Friends of Crosby Park held their annual community planting day in July. Approximately 150 plants were added to the waterway with the help of local volunteers, including representatives from Notice St Mark's Church and more than 30 students from Russley School. It was wonderful to see the community members of different ages and generations working side by side, strengthening both the park's natural habitat and community spirit. There was another great turnout for our August Community Network meeting with approximately 30 people attending. The guest speaker was Wayne Hamilton from Fire and Emergency New Zealand. Wayne is a senior advisor on community readiness and recovery within the Canterbury District team. He shared a presentation about planning and the built environment. He spoke about the 4 R's of emergency management: risk reduction, readiness, response and relief. Wayne also talked about fire alarm testing for groups, wheelie bin fire hazards and shared a pamphlet on low flammability plants. A highlight of the meeting was hearing from Brooke Agnew from the Papanui Baptist Freedom Trust. Brooke talked about their journey with their social supermarket project Kai Connect. This was launched in October 24 after the Trust was looking at ways to make their food bank more efficient and effective. As a result, instead of giving out food parcels, they have set up a mini supermarket. People sign up to the project and get to choose what they like within reason. The type of food bank is a really good way to start relationships with the organisation and between each other. They also have tables and chairs out for people to have a coffee and cake and a chat. People turn up to socialise even if they're not getting any food. Earlier this year, a board received a public forum from Kiko Chin, an outdoor recreation researcher and ethnic community advocate. Research undertaken has shown that for some migrant communities, particularly the Asian community, people feel they are less physically active than they were in their country of origin. One idea that seemed to be popular was an outdoor table tennis table. Some of the reasoning behind this was it would help to promote cultural and social integration. Ping pong is a grassroots recreational activity and it would help to break the cultural stereotype. Our board was really keen to look at progressing this idea, and through the work of our community development advisor Natalie Daly, an outdoor table will soon be installed at Bishopdale Village Green. The library next door have agreed to hold some bats and bulls, but our understanding from the public forum was that a lot of people will most likely just bring their own. Funding for this project has been provided through our board's Better Off Fund. Our local governance team was recently informed about the great voluntary work being undertaken by Jared Patman to help with the increase in feral cats in Belfast Cemetery. We were asked if there was any way we could look at supporting Jared with his work. Our local community development advisor Natalie has met with Jared and his main need was for some more traps. We are pleased that we were able to provide a small amount of funding to purchase a few more traps for him. So far, Jared has caught 14 cats and works alongside other agencies to rehome them. One cat had been microchipped and has actually been missing from the Shirley area for a number of months and has now been happily reunited with its family. As you're aware, feral cats are a significant predator in our ecosystem. Studies have shown that feral cats have a devastating effect on our native species. A big thanks to Jared for his volunteer efforts towards addressing this issue.
Oh, good. So, and thank you once again, and thank you to all our community boards for the last presentations of the triennium. So, good to see you when you all come back. Okay, I'm more than happy to move this, and Melanie's more than happy to second it to receive their monthly reports. All those in favour? Against? Thank you. That's carried. So we'll now go into our public forum, and Sam Joyce is going to talk